Hi, welcome to 2011 Studies. My name is Marty Catuzzo. We're doing the 1290 days of Daniel 12. This is part 3, the Ships of Chittim, which I looked up in the concordance, and it said that was Cyprus. So anyway, that phrase, the Ships of Chittim, is found in a couple places, and I wanted to review this it's an important aspect I believe, to the demise of Satan. I want you to stick around until the end, because there's some things I'm going to talk about that are fairly important as far as this timing of everything and what I believe these verses to be saying. I want to open up with Daniel 8 so we can review these verses and then get into the study a little bit more. This is Daniel 8:11.
Daniel 8:11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. 12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced, and prospered. 13. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? 14. And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed.
This is Daniel 11:30.
Daniel 11:30. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. 31. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong, and do exploits. 33. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil, many days. 34. Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. 35. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed.
And the last one is Daniel 12.
Daniel 12:9. And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. 10. Many shall be purified, and made white, and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. 11. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days.
So we have the 1290 days where the daily is taken away. We discussed that last time, whether it's the daily lamp light, the daily sacrifice, the daily showbread, whatever it is, it's all referring to Christ. 1290 days, the daily is taken away, and the abomination is set up. 1290 days is 3.53 years. That's 3 years, 6 months, and 2 weeks and 1 day. The 2300 evenings and mornings is the duration to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. Then the sanctuary shall be made righteous or cleansed. I don't believe that in the past that this has happened yet. I think we're either in it right now or it's coming. The 1335 days are from Trumpets in 2027 to Pentecost in 2031. 2300 evenings and mornings, which is the phrase God uses as he used in creation in Genesis, the 6 days of creation, and evening and morning was day 2, evening and morning was day 3. So we know that these are literal days. These aren't like years, 2,300 years separated by a long span of time. 2300 evenings and mornings seems to be the full duration of both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. So in other words, the 1290 seems like to be the setting up of all this. Now we reviewed in the last couple studies how 1290 is possible that it goes from Purim in 2024 until the very start of the 1335 days in 2027. We have one of those periods of 1335 in 2027 to 2031. That's a qualifying group of years. So it's pretty interesting that it goes from Purim right to the 1290 ends on the Trumpets. Actually, it's on Trumpets in 2027, and that starts the 1335 days. So the 2300 evening mornings does seem to be a full duration of both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot. How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, and then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Whereas the 1290 days represents the casting down of the daily and the setting up of the abomination, the question is, where does the 1290 fit in with the 2300 evenings and mornings? And that's a little bit harder. I'm still looking at that, actually, but I wanted to cover the Ships of Chittim right tonight. And this is a couple days late because it's been sort of an intense study when I was looking at this. So we have, I've already gone over that. That's Purim Eve is March 23rd, 2024 to the start of the 1335 days, October 3rd, 2027. It's 1290 days. And then March 23rd, 2024, Purim Eve again, to 7/9/2030 equals 2300 days, evenings and mornings. Now, what's left until the year 2031, there are a couple scriptures that may come into play in this, and I find these extremely interesting. There's a couple verses that talk about a season and a time. Now, a time is 1 year, a revolution of 1 year, and a season is a season. So it really very, very close to what's left as far as from 2030 to the end of the 2300 days in 2030 until a year cycle, and then we land and a season, and we land in 2031 in October.
Daniel 7:9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool, his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him, thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, the judgment was set, and the books were opened. 11. I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. 12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time.
So we have covered before how God can use past history to illustrate what Satan does prior to Christ's coming on the last day. Such an example is Gog, G-O-G. Revelation 27.
Revelation 27, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. 8. And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. 9. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. 10. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever.
This is also related to Gog. This is Ezekiel 38:16.
Ezekiel 38:16 And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel, as a cloud to cover the land, it shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me, when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes.
Typology. A doctrine of theological types, especially one holding that things in the Christian belief are prefigured or symbolized by things in the Old Testament. Now, Gog is one example of that. Gog is an example of a type of Satan. And what he did, God reintroduces that in the book of Revelation. And Gog and his hordes, they went through the land and devastated the land. So he's using that kind of a typology. But there's another one here that I wanted to point out. And it's found in Daniel 8 as Satan becomes worried and angry when the ships of Chittim come against him. Satan is the king of fierce countenance and understands dark sayings or the parables of God's word. So if he happens to so get worried about something, he knows if a prophecy is talking about the ships of Chittim, he knows history, and he knows how that refers to him. So this is all very involved, but it's really seriously fascinating. Daniel 11:30. This is the verse that mentions the ships of Chittim.
Daniel 11:30. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant.
Now, let's look at what Balaam prophesied in a trance. This is Balaam's final oracle. This is Numbers 24:15.
Balaam's final oracle, Numbers 24:15. And he took up his parable, and said, Balaam the son of Beor hath said, and the man whose eyes are open hath said, 16. He hath said, which heard the words of God, and knew the knowledge of the Most High, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. 17. I shall see him, but not now, I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. 18. And Edom shall be a possession, Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. 19. Out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. Numbers 24:20. And when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable, and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. 21. And he looked on the Kenites, and took up his parable, and said, Strong is thy dwelling place, and thou puttest thy nest in a rock. 22. Nevertheless the Kenites shall be wasted, until Ashur shall carry thee away captive. 23. And he took up his parable, and said, Alas, who shall live when God doeth this? 24. And ships shall come from the coast of Chittim, and shall afflict Ashur, and shall afflict Eber, and he also shall perish forever. 25. And Balaam rose up, and went and returned to his place, and Balak also went his way.
So what is this all about? Why is this important? Why this proclamation of judgment on Moab? How does this relate to the ships of Chittim, of Daniel? When we search this history lesson out, we come to the phrase, the ships of Chittim, in Numbers 24, which we just read these verses. King Balak was basically hiring Balaam to curse Israel, but Balaam said only with God's blessing would he curse Israel. He ended up proclaiming a blessing on Israel and judgment on Amalek and the Canaanites. This is where Balaam understood the word of the Lord in a trance and declared the following. Number 1, a star shall rise out of Jacob, a star and a scepter out of Israel. That, of course, is talking about Christ. Number 2, a parable was given to Amalek, Numbers 24:20. And when he looked upon Amalek, he took up the parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever.
Deuteronomy 25:19. Therefore it shall be, when the Lord thy God hath given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance to possess it, that thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven, thou shalt not forget it.
Number 3, Balaam prophesied against the Canaanites, Numbers 24:21. And he looked on the Canaanites and took up this parable, and he said, Strong is thy dwelling place, thou puttest thy nest in a rock. Numbers 24:22. Nevertheless, the Canaanites shall be wasted until Ashur shall carry thee away captive. Ashur is Assyria. So you have this language again, and when you get down to studying this language, you see how this can relate to the very end. And some of the language is about the latter days in here. So I hope I put that in there. A very similar prophecy of nest in the rock is found in Jeremiah concerning Edom. This is Jeremiah 49:13.
Jeremiah 49:13. For I have sworn by myself, saith the Lord, that Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. 14. I have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, Gather ye together, and come against her, and rise up to the battle. 15. For, lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised among men. 16. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord. 17. Also Edom shall be a desolation, every one that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. 18. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it.
Okay, so this, I believe, is speaking on the judgment on the fallen houses of God, as God, he uses the term Bozrah and Moab.
Revelation 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Both words. I also believe that the king of fierce countenance who understands dark sayings is Satan himself. And he's always in the past come with God's word. When he was tempting Christ, he came with God's word. In the garden, he came with God's word. So he understands God's word, the parables especially. He knows the prophecy of Balaam concerning the ships of Chittim. He gets concerned and full of wrath. He will come to his end, and none shall help him. This is what, or why, the 1290 days, the 2300 evenings and mornings are so important. Because this is forecasting that Satan will be removed. He will be removed. And I think the language of a year, a season and a year. No, I'm sorry, a time and a season. A time and a season, which is a year and a season. That whole language has to do with how he is removed, but the rest of the beasts lived, their lives were prolonged. I believe that's what it says. Anyway, that would give us a year and a season left when this all happens. Daniel 11:30. I want to just. This is all right now. I'm winding this down. Daniel 11:30 and then Daniel 11:44, where the tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many. And then it says, he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. He shall come to an end, or his end. He shall come to his end, and none shall help him. So I'm going to let the automation read this. This is Daniel 11:30, followed by Daniel 11:44.
Daniel 11:30. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. 31. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong, and do exploits. Daniel 11:44. But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him, therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and utterly to make away many. 45. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain, yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him.
I have always been extremely interested how God has used this typology in the Old Testament to paint a picture, and there's more than that. There's Cyrus, there's just different historical figures that God uses as an example of what will happen in the end of time that we're living in. So we have 7 years until 2031. We have a few years until 2027, which would start or a couple years, which would start the 1335 days of Daniel 12. Having said that, we are currently in a group of years that also qualifies, and that is in 2026. From Trumpets in 2022 to it's Trumpets to Pentecost. So in 2026, that's the first instance of the 1335 days. I really do believe, though, that the blessed is he who waits. We haven't seen that yet. I think that's going to be a pretty much widespread salvation worldwide, and God's going to be glorified in this. And so it seems to me like 2027 to 2031, Trumpets to Pentecost, is the 1335 days that's in view. It's amazing that there's more than one, because when I first started studying this, it was like, what is that number, 1335? You know, very, very curious about it. So anyway, my name is Marty Catuzzo. If you want to email me, it's 2011studies@gmail.com. And anybody can post comments. I have a couple rules. I wanted to go over those. I want to stick to the actual topic of the study. Okay, that's critically important, because it'll just roll with more questions and more questions going off on another direction. It has nothing to do with the study. I don't want to get into that. I mean, if you want to suggest the study, that's fine. I can do a series on whatever. But for the sake of not just having a bunch of debates going on and all that, I don't have time for that. I seriously do not have time for that. It's taken me a good 6-7 days to throw this one together. And if you want to comment, I'm all for comments, because that helps the algorithm on YouTube. So does the likes. Please like this study, and click the subscribe, and get on the bell, ring the bell, and then click all, receive all, and then you'll get them automatically. So anyway, that's it. That's really my only rule. I mean, and no language that is offensive. You'll just get blocked. If you're going to attack me, fine, attack me. It doesn't faze me. It really seriously doesn't faze me. I've already been put through the fire. So anyway, and I don't even take that personal. It's like, okay, you're having a bad day, whatever. But it's funny how things like that, especially on, I see it more on YouTube than I do in a lot of places. It's too much, but it's funny. Anyway, that's it for now. Next study, we're going to be looking at more of the 1290 and the 1335 days. If there's any other language, oh man, I forgot. I was supposed to put the land barren and desolate in this study. Maybe I'll make that the next study, because it does relate. The northern will be removed into a land barren and desolate, and then God will do great things. And I think that great things has everything to do with the 1335 days that will enter in 2027. Anyway, that's it for now. God bless you all, and thanks for listening. Click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.